Characteristics of living things. So all living things are going to be made up of cells, and they may be unicellular, which means that they're made of one cell. An example would be bacteria. And here's a picture of E. coli. So each of these cells is an actual organism, or they may be multicellular, like us, humans. And we're multicellular and have many different types of cells that work together. So here you have a picture of different types of tissue: epithelial, nervous, muscle, and connective. All living things are going to reproduce. There's asexual reproduction, which means that these organisms only have one parent, and the offspring are actually genetically identical to the parent. And these um, processes, happen, and they have the same amount of chromosomes. They are never divided in half, and again, they'll be genetically identical. Or sexual reproduction, which means that the organism has two parents, and a sperm and egg are going to unite. This is going to create genetic variation, so that all the individuals have some differences. They'll have this, same chromosome number as their parents, but we'll talk later on this year about having two parents and chromosome numbers being cut in half. All living things also contain a universal genetic code, or DNA. And we'll look at the structure of DNA this year. And basically, it's a double helix. It has different types of nitrogenous bases. You see these A, T, C's, and G's, and sugar and phosphate backbones. This is going to contain genes and proteins to code for more proteins. All living things are also going to have a specific chemical composition. And living things contain the elements HONC: hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon. We write it this way so that you can remember HONC. If you can remember HONC, you can remember the four elements we're going to find in living things. Now, we differentiate, though, between inorganic molecules and organic molecules. An inorganic molecule does not contain carbon. So for an example, water is H2O. It's inorganic. There's no carbon. An organic molecule, though, has to contain carbon and hydrogen. So carbon dioxide has carbon, but there's no hydrogen, so it's still inorganic. But a molecule like glucose, which is C6H12O6, has carbon and hydrogen, so it would be organic. And all living things are going to obtain and use energy. So we have autotrophs, which make their own energy through photosynthesis, like green plants, and heterotrophs, which acquire their energy from eating another organism. So we are heterotrophs. All living things are also going to respond to the environment. So you see this picture of these people, they're cold. Responding to the environment does not mean, oh, I'm cold, I'm going to go put a jacket on. It means that the body is actually going to do something in order to warm it up. So when you're cold, you start to shiver. That's a response to the environment. It's trying to warm itself up. All living things also evolve. So they're going to undergo change through time. And this is very slow, but it is change. All living things maintain homeostasis, which is a stable internal environment. And here we have a picture of someone with a fever. Well, the body is trying to get rid of an invader. It's trying to heal itself. But what's happening is the body's going to spike a fever, but then it's going to have to do something to get that fever to come back down so that it doesn't hurt itself. All living things also grow and develop. There's also a difference between growth and development. If we look at this person here, this person would grow from this little person to the next size to the next size. That's growth. Development, though, is changing. So we go from the infant stage to an adolescent. You're changing in body type, in abilities. You learn speech and can talk. Your motor skills are refined. That's development. All living things are also going to carry out metabolism, which is basically chemical reactions. Photosynthesis is the use of light energy to convert water and carbon dioxide into starches and sugars that are used for energy. Respiration releases energy by breaking down food in the presence of oxygen. And most of that food comes from the process of photosynthesis at some point. The term synthesis is the building of molecules, and we'll study enzymes. Enzymes are going to be proteins that actually can synthesize a molecule or build it up, or they can digest it and break it down so that it's small enough to be absorbed into the cells. And excretion is the process of eliminating waste products of metabolism. So, all living things are made of cells, they reproduce, contain DNA, have a specific chemical composition, use energy, they respond to the environment, they evolve, they maintain homeostasis, they grow and develop, and they carry out metabolism. Let's look at the organization of life now. So the basic unit of life, we said, is a cell, and cells make up all living things. And cells are actually made up of organelles, like the mitochondria, the nucleus, ribosomes. So those are smaller than a cell. Well, cells working together, though, make up tissues. And then those tissues, so we look at like muscle tissue. Those are a group of the same kinds of cells working together. Tissues working together, though, make up an organ. And then organs working together are going to make up an organ system. So we have the digestive system, respiratory system, excretory, etc. And then organ systems working together make up an organism like humans. So remember all those different characteristics of living things, and they have to meet all of those characteristics in order to be considered living.